Can I just be honest with you guys for a second? If you had asked me at 18 if I would still be single and never having had a relationship at 32, I would have been literally and physically unwell from that. I wouldn't have believed it, because when I was 18, I believed that child-free and single women were problematic sinners, according to what I learned from the church. And here I am, 32, having never had a boyfriend, but I've never been able to keep a man. That's the facts of the matter. And at this point, I don't even know if I really want to keep a man. I grew up with no romantic attention whatsoever. I was the ugly duckling. I was never the pretty girl. I was never the one that people wanted to be with. I was ostracized. I was excluded. And that's never changed. That's been the case of my life since day one. I've been an ostracized person. I've been asked to fit in and bend my will and change who I am, and I can't do it. And I refuse to do it at this point. I can't believe people get married in their 20s. It's actually kind of shocking to me, because I'm not the same person I was at 25, and the person that I would have picked back then would no longer be compatible with the current me. And so many of us are pressured into getting married before our prefrontal cortex is even developed, which is absolutely grotesque and insane to me. It's all about patriarchal control, and if you slip the noose and you're able to escape, then you are in for a lifetime of shame and ostracization, because this country, this world, does not like single women to be free agents and to do what they want. And there's also this pressure on single women to be successful. And I'm neither successful as a single woman, and I'm neither in a relationship. So I'm basically just a loser, according to society. As many of you know, I'm ostracized and I'm shamed for who I am and where I am in my life. And like I said, I grew up with the religious belief that unmarried women were troublemakers and sinners. And I guess that's what I am. I'm going to be a Jezebel from now on. I always wanted to be good enough to be accepted by the church. I've always tried to be accepted by the church, but the church never accepted me. And God never accepted me for who I am. I've never been taken for who and what I am. I've always been asked to change, alter, and improve on who I am. And I'm at a point right now where if I entered into a relationship, I'm so used to not having to compromise what I want, my time, my freedom. I wouldn't be able to compromise for a partner, because I'm so used to peace. I'm so used to being by myself. And I'm so used to being alone that it's almost become addictive. And I don't want people to infiltrate my peace. A man infiltrates peace like a Trojan horse infiltrates the enemy. It's like men are the ultimate Trojan horse at this point. I know most of you are men, but I think we can probably agree on one thing, that being in the wrong relationship with the wrong person is worse than being alone. And in a way, being single has been a rebellion against conservative values that I was brought up with. I've been invisible to men pretty much my whole life, unless I'm actively seeking out a dating site or something like that. Like if I go on Hinge or I create a profile on Bumble, then I get some swipes and then I get some matches. But in terms of men in my real life having noticed me, I'm unnoticeable. I don't really keep up with my appearance. I don't really keep up with the Joneses. I don't really do all the hoops that you're supposed to jump through to appease to a man and be appealing to the male gaze. I just honestly cannot be bothered. So anyway, guys, if you're new here, my name is Shelby. I'm 32. I'm single. I've never had a boyfriend. And right now I'm unemployed and I live with my parents. As you can see, there's art in the background. I might put some art up next to me to show some of my artwork. Basically, if you want to support my art, the links are down below. I have a Shopify where you can purchase my art. If you want to help support this channel and you resonate with what's being said, you can either get super chats, channel memberships, or go through my Buy Me a Coffee account, which is in the description. So you can support this channel and support my emancipation from everything that I'm going through right now. But I understand that most of you are men, and I don't want to make this into a man-bashing channel. It's just that the average man is a taker. Men are conditioned to take and to assert their needs, and as a woman, I have a difficult time asserting what I need, and I have a hard time even taking care of my own needs, let alone the needs of a man. I have been shamed and blamed for not falling in line with the values of this society, and I've been called selfish as though that's a bad thing and that's a dirty word, and I almost have survivor's guilt for not believing these lies of getting married young. I really feel like no one has ever wanted to be with me in the first place. I've never been a highly desirable woman, and I've never had a high desire to be with a man. I have been asked what's wrong with me, and I've gone my whole life undiagnosed. Turns out that I have ADHD, and maybe I'm on the spectrum as well. And at this point, not everyone is desirable. And I'm one of those people that's not a desirable person. And I'm sick of people disturbing my peace. I'm sick of people trying to tell me how to live my life. And let's just say I managed to get a man that wanted to be in a relationship with me. Well, I have a hard time keeping up a house. I really struggle to just feed myself most days, let alone feeding a man. And most men at this point do want a family, which I think is so strange. Finding a child-free man is a difficult thing to find, and especially one that wants me. And I have a hard time feeling attracted towards men in general. I don't think I've ever really felt a sexual desire towards men. Not to say that I'm gay, but to say that I'm not sexually driven to copulate with a man. And the only incentive, I've noticed that a lot of women are incentivized for relationships by social pressure. They're told that they have to be a certain way and they have to be accepted and part of that acceptance is to toe the party line and go into relationship with men. Everyone has tried to change me. Everyone has tried to change who I am and make me into a more desirable person, and that's just not who I am at my core. I love to be creative. I love to be an artist. And I don't want to have anything get in the way of my time that I have to create. I don't want a man at this point. I don't want to be lonely, don't get me wrong, but I actually resent the fact that I have needs socially. I hate the fact that as a human being I need people. I don't like that. I don't like that I need food even. I don't even like that I need sleep. I don't like having a mortal corpus body that requires and demands certain needs, otherwise it's not able to function. It's not fair to have to need people when people are users and other things, and that's really how I feel about it. I think a lot of you men in the audience can probably relate to what it's like to be used and to be rejected. And a lot of us are struggling with relationships with other people. And to be honest with you, I'm an uncompromising person. I don't like sacrificing for other people. I don't like sacrificing for other people even though it's expected for me to give of myself for what? For who? And for why? What am I getting back out of it? There's this invisible idea that there's some God at the end of this tunnel, but I don't believe in God. I really don't believe in any sort of organized religion. And I've been shamed, blamed, ostracized, sat down, preyed on, had people speak in tongues over me. It's ridiculous. I'm sick and tired of the delusion. There is really no incentive at this point for me to be in a relationship. I don't even desire sex to a point where I'm willing to sacrifice my peace. I have now been celibate for 3 years straight, and the only reason I got into a relationship with a man to begin with, it wasn't even like an official relationship, we were kind of just hooking up, honestly, was that I was curious about what sex was all about. And after I got out of that relationship, and I lost my virginity within that relationship at 28 years old, so I didn't have anybody until I was 28, I really didn't understand what the big deal was. Like, why would I want to continue to sacrifice or to put myself out there? For what? For a little bit of pleasure that I can just give myself anyway? It's like it doesn't seem worth depending on someone else. And I know so many of us as women are positioned to where we have no other choice. There is something called the motherhood tax, which is where once you become a mom, your earning potential decreases by about 50%. And I am one of those people where I don't even know if I can take care of myself, and I still get pressured by society to have kids. My mom has accepted the fact that I'm child-free. She doesn't even want me to have kids. My own family says I would be a terrible mother. So I have society telling me that my only purpose is to be a mom, and then my family telling me I would be terrible at it. So to all of you in the audience that have said just get married and find a man, I'm not one of these women that's desirable for marriage. I'm not that kind of girl. I'm also not a hoe. I didn't spend my 20s partying or anything like that. So there's also this assumption that if you're single at 32, that you spent your whole 20s giving it up to some hot stud in the club. And I never did that one time. I've never had a one-night stand. I've been with one man out of curiosity, and I wouldn't call him a Chad or anything like that. I really just don't have a desire to sacrifice my energy for another person. I don't understand why I would want to do that. Why would I want to do that? What is in it for me? And that's what I ask myself when it comes to keeping a man. As much as I would like to be able to keep a man, I ask, what's in it for me though? Why should I be the primary partner and do all the sacrifice and do the song and a dance and play a role and cosplay, almost like I'm live action role playing as a traditional feminine woman because that's the only role model that I've seen in my life? And why should I do that? Just to avoid conflict? Just because there's a hypothetical that I'm going to be alone later? I'm already alone. I already know what loneliness is, and I know how to cope with it. I don't like being alone and not being surrounded by like-minded people, but marrying someone just because that's a box to check on a list is a terrible idea to do. And you see all the time women checking a box, like they're afraid of what's going to happen if they break out of their conditioning and choose for themselves what's right. And a lot of times there is a societal backlash and punishment from your community if you decide to go against the group. And the thing about religion is that it's the ultimate form of groupthink. They control people by the group. They tell people that this is what you're supposed to do within this group to be accepted. And then when you say, fuck it, I'm not going to even care about getting accepted by the group, they dog you and they come for you. I don't like groups of people that tell me what to do. I don't like society. I don't understand why there's an expectation of me having to bend over backwards for someone that probably would not do the same for me. And you could say that I'm making negative assumptions and that maybe the right person will come along, but I really don't see that happening. I don't know how to meet people in general. I don't even know how to procure a lead for a relationship. I think online dating is an absolute waste of time. I have never had any success with online dating. I've never really been able to meet people in my real life who find me desirable or attractive. I'm past my prime in terms of reproduction. I really don't see a point in putting myself through the humiliation ritual of finding a partner. There are obviously biological desires every now and again, such as, being down bad and really wanting someone to be with. But I really just don't even think that it's better than what I can imagine for myself in my head. It's like, if I have a need, normally I just read a romance novel or I imagine a scenario where my needs are being met and then I feel better. So it's like I don't want the reality of having a man. And as much as I would like to be able to be that girl that can keep someone like that, I'm not her. And it's difficult to admit that I'm not a desirable woman in terms of a relationship. You could argue that at one point I was cute enough to find someone that was probably higher value, but I never did. I never knew in my 20s where to go to meet someone. I still don't know. I have never been taught how to put a man in front of myself. I've never really been told all the unwritten rules of life. And I'm figuring out these unwritten rules after it's too late for me to participate in the game. And I think it's partially because I might be a little bit autistic and no one's explicitly told me anything because they just want me to read the room and be a mind reader. And there's this thing where not like neurotypicals expect you to be a mind reader a lot of times, and it's not fair. And I've been shamed and blamed for not being able to psychically understand these unwritten rules about relationships. A man expects a woman to be in a woman's role even if he doesn't say so. And I'm not good at fulfilling that role. I've been called a Jezebel by the church because I think for myself. I've been called possessed by Jezebel spirits by people that don't like the fact that I think for myself. And I absolutely hate how conservative Christian men want to mold women into their own little indentured servants. I'm not built for indentured servitude. I'm not going to be an indentured servant. And then there's these annoying... I just have a hard time finding a man that I'm even aroused by. It's not even a physical thing. It has a lot to do with emotions. I don't feel emotionally inclined to open myself up to a man. And I've had men that fit the bill as an alpha male Chad, if you will, who are 6'2", they're hot, but I still didn't feel anything towards them because there was no emotional spark. And a lot of men don't understand that women are primarily emotional, and they say it all the time like it's a curse and like it's a bad thing and it's something that we need to control and to keep under wraps. But to be honest with you, it's something that you could leverage to your own advantage if you knew what to do. At this point, I guess I'm an incel. I'm a femcel in a lot of ways. I know that I'm a NEET. I'm unemployed, not in training or education. And what would I bring to a table? What would I bring to the table at this point besides my body that has been ravaged by disease? I have a pre-existing condition that keeps my libido very low. I have no money, no prospects. It's like, what are people wanting me to do in terms of that? I would love to have something to offer. I would love to be someone that has something to give to a man, but I don't have it. I don't have it like that, and I'm the first to admit that I'm honestly kind of an undesirable person, and I'm kind of an old maid, and I'm kind of a spinster, if you will, and it's nothing that I wanted to be when I was 18. I thought that I would find someone by nature, and everyone says you'll just find someone when you're least expecting it, but no one speaks in terms of explicit dating strategy on what to do in order to meet someone. And at this point, I've just been hoping romance would just come. But I've never been romantically desirable. I've never received romantic attention as a teenager or a young adult, or even now. I've honestly never received romantic attention from a man ever. And I don't know why. It makes me feel undesirable and ugly. And then you're told your only purpose as a woman is to be pleasing to a man, and then you're left feeling like you're fucking worthless. So, to me, dating has been a non-stop humiliation ritual. Just like everything else, like the job search, like everything else. And I really don't know what else to say on that, other than if you want to support this channel, like I said, you can do so by leaving a like, a comment, or subscribe. And you can also check out my Shopify, my Buy Me a Coffee account, which is where you can support this channel financially, or you can join channel memberships or leave a super chat, no matter what you decide to do. That's up to you. And if you're still watching this, let me know what you would like to hear in the next video, because I'm definitely open to taking suggestions on what to talk about. I might talk about motherhood again in another one, a little more in depth. But if you relate to being undesirable and not being able to keep a partner, let me know and we can talk about it. And this is Shelby once again, and thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.